find out what happened to the team that went to try to repair the main shade node. The Federal shelter should be beneath your current position. Find a way down there, but proceed with caution.
What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the channel, or welcome to the channel if it's your first time here. If you're watching this video, you saw the information coming from Ubisoft about The Division 2's new DLC coming May 27th. It's called Battle for Brooklyn, and you're asking yourself, should I come back to The Division 2? Or if you've never played the game and you've always seen it on Ubisoft's websites or on Steam, and you're thinking to yourself, should I jump into this game? Well, we're going to get into this on this video. I'll give you my own personal take on what I feel this means and if you should or shouldn't take it or come back to it. So first and foremost, they're taking us back to Brooklyn. Now, if you've never played any of the Division games before, you don't understand what this means. If you are a returning player, or if you've played either one of the two games before, you know that the Brooklyn DLC is taking us back to the original, the OG spot where you first ever started playing the game in the Division 1. They're taking us back to Brooklyn. Brooklyn was the area where you took your first few steps as an agent. You shot your first few. I remember I think it was cans or bottles and what have you. This is that special small area that we never got to explore before they thrusted you into Manhattan, where the Division 1 actually happened. So I think this is going to be really interesting. We know that there's going to be new missions, new enemies, and possibly some story elements that are going to be added, because I know also that they are bringing back old characters like Theo Parnell and the doctor lady whose name I can't remember right now. I came back to the Division 2 after spending several months away because the new Season 6 kind of called to me. So in this video, we're going to dive into all of the nitty-gritty to understand if you should or shouldn't return to the video. So let's jump right in. Before we take another step, we have to talk about current state of the Division 2. Like, what's the game feel like at the moment? You won't be surprised if I tell you the game is repetitive. It's got stale content. They cycle everything. Characters are new. Their stories, or the stories they tell, are also new. However, the rest, or the setting in which everything happens, is basically identical to what it was before. Currently, you have a mix of collectors, collectors like myself, who enjoy collecting all of the named items, exotic items, etc., and content survivor drought people. I don't know if you can call them that. I'm making up a word. I like it. So it's difficult right now to stay engaged with the game. I'll say that. Some cool stuff that still exists in this game. Gunplay is still among the best in the genre. The graphics and environmental storytelling are still top tier. Build diversity. That's such a big thing right now with the new exotics and all of the new gear sets. You can synergize all of these together and make a really cool build. So that's really a lot of fun. And then lastly, we have Countdown and Summit. Those two provide a large amount of replayable content. Plus, if you're a loot goblin like myself and you want to find your item that you really want to complete your build, you will get a lot of loot from those two game modes. What's still frustrating with the game? Of course, we have to talk about the UI and the inventory management that are still, sadly, very overwhelming and messy. Even though they did make it better, like after Gear 2.0, it was much easier for you to figure out which gear was closer to being a god roll gear or weapon. You can easily find that, whereas before it was difficult to do that. Now you can still do that a lot better. But finding your way through the horde of items that you receive and then deciding which one to keep, which one to get rid of is still very messy. And if you don't like, repetitiveness, if you don't like grinding a whole lot, this is what the game feels like. And finally, if you're a PvP player, I'm not a PvP player. I know I'm not a PvP player, but I also know that there are games that will help me scratch that PvP itch a lot better than the Division 2. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with playing the PvP with the Division 2 right now. That's not what I'm trying to say. What I'm trying to say is it is not fulfilling to the max for a full-out PvP player. There are games that do that much better at this moment in time. The Battle for Brooklyn DLC. It's on your mind. It's on my mind. So let's talk about it. If you've never played the Division 1, but have played the Division 2, or have never played either one of the two games, you possibly won't understand what this basically means for all of Division players who have been playing the game since the first game launched in 2016. Essentially, Brooklyn is where your first ever agent that you create lands after seeing the introduction video as to what happened with the dollar flu or the dollar plague or what have you. And this is where your agent gets called in for duty, and this is where you report, and where your character spawns in, looking at his face through the window of that car in the middle of the street. That is Brooklyn. So it's going to be very exciting, I think, to go and discover the area. So what we know so far is we have new missions, new areas to explore that haven't been explored possibly in the Division 1 for sure. We have new factions, new enemy variants. The cleaners are going to be throwing around the blue flame, they call it. So that'll be exciting to battle. We know that we are going to get potentially new gear sets, new exotics, and it has been speculated that possibly the story will kind of do a full circle and possibly, potentially, I say a lot of possible words here, but lead to maybe an announcement or something to the effect of the Division 3. It's all speculation right now, but it's still out there for people to, to talk about. If you're a returning player, of course, this is the most meaningful content drop in many, many, many moons. We know that. If you've played the Division 1, it's going to be very nostalgic to discover Brooklyn. I think that'll be very cool. And if you're a loot goblin like myself, or if you're a collector or someone that loves to complete everything to like 100% all the time, there will be new stuff for you to grind and or loot for. So we have to talk about some of the concerns that we see or that I potentially see out there. So we know the DLC will be a paid DLC. So they said 14.99 euros. So Canadian American dollars, you're looking at possibly somewhere between $20 and $25. So we know there's a price to entry. You have to have the Warlords of New York DLC in order to get it. We don't know if there's going to be a season pass. If the season pass will be, again, you'll have to pay money to get the season pass. Will there be extra costs and what have you? So that's still up in the air. We don't know. How long will it be? It's like, will it be long enough for the money that they will ask us? Will it be long enough for us to jump in? And I think that I mean, that one's an important one as well. But there is nothing confirmed yet for my PvP friends, if there was any enhancements or anything like that. So we don't know that for sure. We always have to think in terms of if this game is for me or if it isn't, and how the state of the game has either changed or remained the same. And as a player, is this game something that I'm looking for? So if you're looking for solo co-op PvE type of game with tons of loot to chase, and you want a tactical cover-based shooter instead of those fast-paced, like first-person shooter types of games, or maybe you've played the Division 1 before and you feel that, oh, maybe I want to get back into this, or maybe I would love to pick this up, I think this game type, or if this game is something that you would enjoy. Now, it's not ideal if you're looking for like a strong PvP system with regular live service events, or, you know, like the next game, the next generation game feel kind of a deal, or if you like the grind of getting items and finding items based on, you know, gear systems and inventory micromanagement and what have you, then this might not be the game for you. So if you're a returning player, you're going to get access to new content. And I think one of the key elements here is that most of the past content is replayable to you. So if you want to try and get this done from now until May the 27th, it's absolutely possible to do so. There's, again, a huge build diversity for you as a returning player, and possibly items that you have not even seen into the game world right now. So that's very exciting, and that's a prospect that's really, you know, interesting to look at. And of course, there's a lot of cosmetics in the game. It's always been a part of the Division. It's something that you can fit to your own play style and what have you. So I think that's also very interesting. But as a player, you have to ask yourself these questions. The Division can absolutely be an overwhelming game, especially when it comes to content and catching up to content that you haven't done, or if you're new to the game and looking at the extent of what is required to do in order to quote-unquote be ready for the DLC, there is that sense of, you know, it's very overwhelming. Please don't feel that way. There's still a very large community dedicated to this game, making player builds. They're making, you know, video guides about how to play certain missions, you know, loadout tips, and so on and so forth. From a matchmaking perspective, Countdown and Summit generally populate fast, so if you want to play with other people, you will have the opportunity. It's not going to be too long, you know, to do that. If you feel like you want to do the main missions, you know, with people, you want to matchmake, that's absolutely possible. They usually fill in pretty quick. However, my 10 cents on that is if you know, all those missions can be absolutely done solo, so there's absolutely no restrictions there. So, you know, think about those things, but don't let that be a deterrent for you not jumping in if you feel like you want to. Before I tell you my final thoughts on whether or not you should return to this game, we have to talk about the potential that this brings for the Division 3. We have several clues that could point to that. So the Brooklyn DLC absolutely brings us back full circle. You know, it's like a wrap-up narrative type of a thing. They canceled Heartland, so that leaves a huge hole in Ubisoft, and they might want to fill it with Division 3. The game engine updates, they suggest maybe possibly groundwork for something bigger. The DLC might be there also to, you know, measure if players do come back to the Division franchise. It could be a test bed for new systems or storytelling approaches. We don't know yet. And we know that Ubisoft has done this before with other franchises, so they essentially bring in a huge DLC, they kind of loop everything back right before they introduce or launch new sequels. And let's be honest, the Brooklyn area is absolutely tied to the Division 1, which is the start of the entire Division saga, right? So, should you or should you not return to the Division 2? You should return to the Division 2 if you're looking for new content, if you miss the grind of, you know, looking for named items, exotics, new builds, and what have you. If you just want to casually play a game that'll let you do things at your own pace and you enjoy the tactical aspect of the game, then you should absolutely return. If you're expecting huge PvP improvements or a full game overhaul, if you're looking for highly active multiplayer type of population, and you are, you know, burnt out from the seasonal loop models and what have you, and you prefer live constant updates and regular events, then no, you shouldn't come back. This is not the game for you. As far as I'm concerned, I think my opinion is pretty clear by now. I absolutely think that as a returning player, you should absolutely come back to this game. If you are a new player and you're thinking about picking it up, don't hesitate. Find it, download it, and start playing it right now. It's absolutely worth it. There's a ton of stuff to do. as a new player and as a returning player, there's also a lot of stuff that you can go back and still get done from past seasons. So there's absolutely no reasons at all as to why you should not come back to this game. So let me know if you're coming back to The Division or if this is a hard pass, even with this new DLC. Drop your thoughts in the comments below and let me know if this helped you decide, and consider subscribing for more Division and video game content. I hope to see you out there, Agent.
Shown up when you did. I'll head back as soon as the escort team arrives.
With the equipment Maya recovered, we can restore the Shade network across the entire country. And I'll send a team to assist Maya to retrieve the body for proper burial.